life and confidence coach Dianna Leeder, and this is my podcast, the Crave More Life Roadshow. It's here we talk about emotional hits and lovingly kicking our own asses to get through them. Just so you know, it always comes down to being your beautiful, sassy self, living and loving from you, no matter what. So join me to hear about the healing journeys of other women, and you just might become a DIY ass kicker too. Hey DIY ass kickers, welcome back to this very, very special episode of the Crave More Life Roadshow. Today is our 100th published episode. Can you imagine? 100? I know, it's crazy. So I started this podcast with the simple belief in the power of sharing our stories to impact somebody else's story. Guests have come on and shared their emotional hits, their shit kickings, their aha moments, and what helped them get to the other side, just so someone else can take that and use it to inform their own lives. As I remind everybody at the end of every show, simply by showing up and listening, you are kicking your own ass, meaning you are open to whatever deeper awareness or understanding of yourself that can lead to healing and a self-aligned, fulfilled life. I am truly honored to have been the host of the show. I have met many holistic practitioners and healers who have taught me things that I needed to hear in that moment. That's the thing with awareness, it just shows up when we need it the most. Many of those guests continue to be colleagues and collaborators in my healers community, and many more have become my trusted friends. Thank you all for sharing yourselves in service to others, and thank you for showing up to help me do the work I know I am meant to do. And I am in gratitude for all those who have listened to either all 100 episodes or just one. Thank you. Know that we are all here for you, and if we can empower just one listener to feel good, we've done our jobs. To commemorate our 100th episode, we have a very special guest. Jacqueline Kane is a contributing author in Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, the first edition, a colleague that is always ready to mastermind and talk with about supporting our clients, and a cherished friend who loves to laugh at ridiculous things pretty much as much as I do. Jacqueline is also a former guest on the Roadshow, and as it happens, that show had more listeners than any other episode that we've aired. Even introducing her as Jacqueline Kennedy didn't deter anybody. And we can't forget that Jacqueline is a powerhouse healer. As the Stop the Pain specialist, she supports women in discovering and healing the hidden links between physical pain, finances, and the ability to live a full life. With over 15 years in private practice as a healer and over 30 years in healthcare, Jacqueline has merged her innate wisdom with a multitude of healing modalities, including Bowen work, emotional freedom technique, evolutionary meditation, soul clearing, and more to create unique results-oriented methods for healing. Jacqueline liberates clients from both physical pain and financial struggles so they can create a path to energy, health, ease with money, and personal fulfillment. She is the creator of the Healthy, Wealthy Success System that guides women in a joyful, pain-free life full of energy and success. I am humbled to have her with us today to celebrate and talk about all things healing. Welcome, my friend. So glad you're here. And how cool it is that you're the hottest item on the Roadshow.
When you sent me that email, I'm the popular chick. I'm like, no, that's not me.
It is. It totally is, girl. Yeah, it is.
But as you were reading that, I was like, oh my God, in 2 years, COVID coming through has shifted so many lives. It's impacted so many families, right? We've lost so many people. But what I'm celebrating today is that COVID opened up my world to meet you through
Mm,
Laura, right?
yeah.
If Laura DeFranco, our publisher, never posted that very first post when she had to close down her office, her in-person healing practice, and she stepped into doing more publishing, and I answered that. It's what's coming through is that when you answer that call, right? When you step up and you say yes, even though you have no idea what you're saying yes to, no idea. You just feel that fear. You open that door and you say, yep, it's me today. I'm saying yes.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? And it was Laura who introduced us because I remember it clearly. She said, hey, you know, in volume 2 of her book, there's this awesome lady, Dianna Leeder, and she's got a podcast and she's looking for people. And again, I said, yes. And we have been hanging out ever since. And it's been incredible because I'm in Connecticut in the States and you're in Canada. We
Yeah.
never would have met if this did not happen.
We would not.
Never.
We would not. That's so true. So let me say too that Laura kind of has a way of, doing this to us, right? Not just you and I, but just connecting people. I think that that's maybe part of her purpose here is to just connect and build and help us collaborate and get to know each other. And the friendship is a huge bonus to this.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're in Connecticut and I'm in Canada. Do I feel like I could call you if there was something seriously wrong in my life? Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah.
And yet it's been, 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And look at how many, 100 podcasts on your part. That's massive.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I have to just kind of sit and let that sink in for a little bit because I mean, you just do, and I love doing this piece. And of course, what is it that we learn about our businesses? If something isn't really joyful for us, don't do it.
Yeah.
So I know that this is one piece that I need to keep doing, but it's so much fun that I don't think about it as work or thinking 100. Holy moly, that was that's a lot of time yakking. Well, that kind of fits for me anyway, but. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really really happy about it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Very cool.
yeah, yeah. So as I said in the intro, the podcast is all about supporting listeners to do whatever they need to do to absorb whatever they care to absorb so that they can grow and they can shift and not from being told go and do this, but that awareness piece is really the key. Like that's the hot ticket in all of these shows, right? And I know you believe that too. Once we hear something, it can just be a teeny little nugget, and it goes in, and you can think about it, and you contemplate it, and maybe you meditate on it, or maybe you just go for a walk and it goes through your head a bit. But at some point, it offers a different perspective, or informs us, right?
Yes.
In some way that's so powerful. It's so powerful, and that's why we're here, right? So. Yeah, what's your
and awareness is the first step because life is so busy and we go along and we do and we just feel like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is my life. And sometimes it's good. Like there are people who are going along and they love their life and everything's great. But then there are those people who life really isn't that great. Life really is a struggle, right? And then what you can either continue to go down that path of struggle, and there are some people who do. And part of it is because it's scary to change. It's super scary to do something else. And we think, oh, I can't do that. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for all the people who are listening to podcasts, all the amazing interviews. There is so much knowledge out there that you can have the life you want. But taking that first step is the first step. And you have to know that you want to change something.
Yeah.
Some people don't even know that there's anything to change. They just think, well, this is how I was raised and my parents weren't happy, so I'm not happy. This is just how it is. And that language just gets passed down, and the energy of that passes through every forward generation until somebody says, no, we deserve better.
Yeah.
Right? But you don't know that you deserve better unless you know what better could be. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you turn that dial and you accidentally turn on to an inspiring conversation, right? And you get all caught up in that energy. Because when my life was really tough. And I was so in it, right? Like I blamed everybody else for my stuff. And I didn't know that how much I was manifesting more of that.
Right.
But once you dip your toe into that change and you feel it, it's like you want more. It's like a drug, right? You just want more of it.
Right.
I want to feel amazing. There is no going back, right? Once you wake up, there's no going back.
Yeah.
No going back.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I can relate to, the kind of not being able to move forward. My own experience was the same. I hadn't found my voice. So my life was happy, and I was very blessed in every way that was imaginable, but I wasn't paying attention to what was in here. So, and I'm sure that I've told you I have this little tattoo on my arm that says "Look inside." So that when I get up in the morning and I see the inside of my arm, I remind myself that that's where I need to look to know what works for me. So yeah, once you get, like you said, once that little taste, you get that little taste, and you're absolutely in, for sure.
Yeah.
And the whole podcast piece, I think, is really, really, really valuable, because it does give people the chance just to listen. That's all you gotta do is listen. And if you don't resonate with anything, that's okay. That's okay. Maybe it's just not time for you to hear that particular piece, or maybe it just is not your thing. That's okay. But it's not like going to a doctor's office or something and being given a prescription and being expected to follow it. The podcast is kind of like, here it is. Here's this big flower. Have a sniff or two, or maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not the best analogy. Just, if you like it, great. If it's not, I don't like roses so much, so don't give me a rose, but give me something else, I'm good. So yeah, which also, in my mind, allows us to differentiate for ourselves, which is really what we want to do, right? Not looking inside. We're not asking anybody else for what's in here. We're asking ourselves for what's in there. So to differentiate what we need for us is huge.
Yeah. And that brings us back to your book, all about finding our voices. It's so powerful when you find your voice. Like, that's another, I think when I was writing my chapter, I really didn't realize how much I wasn't using my voice. And even as I've grown, there's still times when I'm really not using my voice. I'm kind of hiding behind the fear. So I think it's so important, and I think it's so needed in where women are right now and where we're going. because everybody talks about the feminine is coming out now. It's time for women. Women are rising up, right? And the more women that find their voice, the more we're going to shift the planet into a planet that is so healing and loving and compassion. It's so powerful.
It really is.
It really is powerful.
Yeah, it really is. So I want to ask you something about that chapter and you know, your realization that it really showed you how much you hadn't been using your voice. So the cool part, I'm gonna suggest now, so tell me if I'm wrong, is that now if you don't use your voice, you know you're not, and you can shift that on the moment, or you're not using it on purpose. You know, consciously you've made a decision or a choice, a conscious choice to not do it for whatever reason that is aligned with you, right? But you know that. You know, it's not like you are, you know, yeah, sure, yeah, there'll be fear. There's always fear for all of us forever, I think, but it's not, it's a different sense than hiding.
Yes. And the really cool thing is that, so there's two things that are coming up. One is the more we stand in our power, the more we allow other people to stand in their power. And now that I am standing in my power, I'm able to speak up at a whole new level. I'm not afraid. I feel so comfortable and confident when I share that there are so many people right now who comment on what I say, which never was like that. I mean, before I would say something and they would say, oh, that person said it. And I'm like, no, I said it.
Hello.
Now I have more people referencing what I say. It's crazy, right? And there are times so there are still times now when I'll be in a networking thing, or maybe I'm just not feeling up, and I'm just going to sit back on this one. I have that right. But when I want to be seen and heard now, I am seen and heard, right? So we get to make the choice when I'm standing in my power and when I'm not. And I 100% know that when I speak to my husband, he's hearing me. Now, was it always this way? There's been a journey and a process. There were times when I was scary and I had to keep repeating myself and always bring it back. Hey, no, I said this. Yeah. And you said that, right? It's tough. It could be tough to shift and to change.
Absolutely.
But boy, when you do, and when you own your voice, and people reference you and people comment on and they ask you, hey, Dianna, what do you think about this? You feel valued, you feel like you matter, right? That's what we came here to do, to be and have. Like, that's powerful. Yeah. And when every woman stands in her power, woo!
Yeah, unbeatable. Yeah. Look out, world. Here we come. Yeah.
The guys are a little nervous right now because they know it's coming.
Well, you know, interestingly, that makes you want to talk about the fourth book, right? Find Your Voice, Save Your Life, Transcendent Men. Yes. They're real stories, because what I'm seeing is that guys are rising up to the occasion as well. And I don't mean to, you know, it's not like, oh, well, the girls are doing it, so we're doing it too. I don't mean that at all. I mean, they are transcending. They are transforming into being themselves as well. Yes. So, you know, maybe in some situations, maybe that is them using their voices more. Maybe it is using their voices in a gentler way. You know, maybe it's not using their voices. You know, maybe it's quieting down and letting someone else speak. You know, I mean, it can be anything, but it just needs to be who they are, right? Yeah. So that is hugely mind-blowing and exciting to me. I mean, I don't, you know, if that takes off, and I think it has, I'm sure that the 25 guys that are in this book are not going to be the only 25 men on the planet that are transcended. But I gotta say, if it takes off, life is different. You know,
Yeah.
life will be different for all of us.
Yeah.
People say, you know, this is a book by men for men. You know, it's not. This is a book by men for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's going to
Yeah.
want to read this book, and everybody's going to want to understand the relationship that they can have with a transcended man. You know, the
Yeah.
relationship they can have with themselves if they allow themselves to transcend, or same, you know, in the same boat, use their voices, find their voices. Yeah.
Yeah, because men are having a hard time. I'm not saying it's all like women power. It's where can we come together to listen to each other and work together as a community? Because men are having a hard time. You know, the Me Too movement needed to happen, but it's not all about guys suck and guys are bad. That's and there's kind of a feeling around that. And even the guys are having a hard time. Like, where are they? How do they feel about this? And what if they're the good guy, but yet there's all this talk about he did something wrong and, you know, we're judging them before they get to court, before we hear all the information. So I'm very excited that you're doing this because it's another side of the story that needs to be told.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's beautiful that these men have stepped up to the plate to write their story
Mm-hmm.
because it's equal opportunity. And I want to hear your side. You know, in in America, there was a state that was putting up their um, Roe versus Wade was going to be no longer in their state. And this is not about abortion. This is not about which side of the coin you're on, right? It's about a woman's right to choose because we don't know their situation. And when I posted something on Facebook, some of the guys were coming up and saying, well, what about the guy's point of view? And I said, I'd like to hear the guy's point of view, but don't come at it with anger and frustration. I want to understand your point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So please share that. And I learned a little bit, right? But I wasn't seeing that point of view because I'm not a guy, I'm a woman,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're so used to be told how to do things and what we're allowed. So I think women really want to hear both sides, but there's too much fighting going on. So when you use your voice the way you're sharing it in these stories, there's more love and compassion and saying, thank you for sharing your story because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm not in your shoes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, I think it is too. And you know, I have to say, and you know this clearly, you know, using your voice is not power over. It's never power over. I don't think that there is anybody who really truly in and of themselves wants power over.
Yeah.
You know, I think that that's a reaction to a whole lot of things, you know,
Mm.
both trauma or ancestral
Conditioning.
history
Yeah.
and conditioning, like all that stuff. And I honestly believe, Jackie, that there are, um, you know, finding your voice for a man, finding your voice for a woman, it really, you know, it really comes down to the same thing. You know, we're all, whether it doesn't matter what gender, or even if we identify as a gender, we are
Yeah.
all, you know, we all have a social structure that we're expected to follow and that we're expected to live under, and
Yeah.
really change our behavior to adapt to.
Yeah.
And when that doesn't, when we play that game and we don't adapt to ourselves, first of all, we're unhappy. We're probably sick,
Mhm.
and we're more likely to engage in behaviors that we normally would not. So the
Right.
person who sits and thinks, you know, quietly and from a place of contemplation about how they may want to respond to something, you know, whatever, you know, wherever you're coming from, um, you know, they're more likely for that to be a real place that is coming from, as opposed to the social structure that silences us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my take, my big but
Yeah.
little take. Yeah, because often it's, the whole conversation about losing our voice is about women, because we have been silenced, and we have definitely been held back. There is no question. I've spent decades working with women in advocacy roles just so they can be heard, because they're being beaten, they're being assaulted, they're being raped, they're, you know, everything under the sun. And that's, that's not okay. So, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that last piece. I was getting a little fired up there, but but it really is, it is the same for both of us. I think it all comes from the same place for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more we can just listen without judgment and with more compassion, really is where we'd like to see the world go right now. So
I agree. And how do we do that in ways that really allow us to accept one another? I mean, that's the biggest thing in the world for me right now, is that, it's not okay for somebody else to have a different opinion. You post something on Facebook, you're going to get hammered for it. I don't bother, frankly, anymore, because it's not. I'm not there to argue either way. I don't want to justify, my beliefs. So, okay, if I put it out there, I'm kind of, it's like, here. That's kind of what Facebook is all about, right? But yeah, it's tough, because we're conditioned to not accept that someone else's opinion can be different.
Yeah.
And that they are still as important as we are, and as lovable as we are.
Yeah, agree to disagree, right? Like, why can't we just agree to disagree? When my husband saw that I posted that, he was like, "What'd you do?" I said, I know. I don't normally post things like that. I'm usually the quiet little one, posting, cats or this or that, trying to be the good little girl and be nice. But
well, fuck that shit. You just put it out there, lady. Just put it out there, right?
And I did.
Yeah.
And I said, we'll just see what happens. Let's just deal with the feedback. But it's an issue of mine where, like you said, women have been suppressed, and I have to fight for the person who's being suppressed and who is not being taken care of. The underdog, right? Like, that's not okay. So yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Whatever.
Hold space. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? And I think that is an example when people want to say, oh, you're absolutely wrong, that's not true, or did you check your facts? I read some of those too. Did you check your facts? Because that's not true. Well, maybe, but maybe it was my opinion. But when that happens, it's where's it coming from? It's not coming from somebody's heart.
No.
It's like a protection thing, which is really kind of sad. But anyway, we are finding our voices, and we're changing the world, right? One voice at a time. Yeah. I don't know whether you guys can't see us because this is just audio, but our rooms, of course, Jackie and I are both have a little higher up connection, and our rooms just keep flashing bright. Have you noticed that? Flashing bright, and yeah. So we're obviously speaking the truth here. I'll just go out and say it on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We are women. Hear us roar, right?
That's right. Yeah. So, tell me where all this has taken you in your practice.
Oh my God. It's so much more visibility, so much more confidence. Once you start writing, it helps you to get clear in awareness, right? Of what is it I do? What do people get? Why have a business? Why put myself out there? So it's helped me to get clear in what I do for people and how I do it. and the results that they're getting. And that has even led me, I'm very excited to share, because when Laura put out there, let's do a book and let's do that. And I saw all of you guys, you were very courageous, and you have done 4 volumes of books.
Almost, yeah, on our way. Is this
Like,
ready?
that's a big deal.
It is
That's
a
a
big
big
deal,
deal.
but you need to tell me when you're ready for a drum roll, because I feel a drum roll coming on, right? I'm not sure that I can do it quite as well as, what is that, Ellen in Christmas Vacation, but I'll do my best. Okay, just give me the sign when it's time.
I will. So I've watched all of my friends who have been writing chapters and then take on your own project. And so I said, that's nice. That's not for me. You guys have a good time. Maybe I'll write a chapter here and there, but I'm not putting together a book. So drum roll, I guess. Oh, that's amazing.
Not bad, eh? Maybe I'll be on the next Christmas Vacation.
But I had the download to do a book. And this is, it's so, if there's any healers out there who want to write a chapter and be in a book, it's going to be called The Energy Medicine Solution, Mind-Blowing Results to Live an Extraordinary Life. Because my passion is all about helping people heal naturally. And I do believe that the healthcare system that we're experiencing right now is not a healing system. So the cool thing is that just in the reach out, just expanding my community has led me to so many other people who have the same beliefs I have. And even more people who do podcasts and more connections. I met a singer yesterday who, her poor husband had died from cancer, but she also had amazing stories of the healthcare system and how her husband was treated and the process of going through that. She wrote her own book. And all the stories out there of people who, are living with illness and physical pain. And there's another way, we kind of put that line in the sand and say, it's time for something else on a bigger scale. So that's my big excitement. And I shared it with my husband yesterday. And so I'm halfway there with my authors who are going to be in it. Yay. And there's a naturopath in it. There's feng shui in it, all about energy and all the ways that energy impacts us, from our health, our life, our business, relationships, everything. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. And it's perfect. It really is perfect. It's, and honestly, it's been something that I have, for myself, been aware of most of my adult life, that this is not, the traditional system doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't work for me. And it doesn't work for a lot of other people, but yet, as a society, we're so ingrained in it that it's really hard to get out of, when someone is afraid for their health and their life, then I think it's harder for them at that point to make a shift over to something that is far more, in my head, logical, being energy healing.
But scary, because if you're following our system in the United States, our healthcare system, doing something natural is absurd, is unheard of, because the doctors don't talk about it. And I'm hoping to have a little section on cancer, because I'm very tired of hearing that another woman passed away from breast cancer, or just somebody else passed away from cancer, and they say they did everything they could. No, you didn't, because the doctor didn't share these other powerful healing processes that are natural and could have shifted the direction of that healing process. So I'm trusting in my guides, my angels, that this is the message that is ready to come through, and that I have chills talking about it, but that it's meant to come through, and we'll see where it goes. I think that's been my purpose my whole life. And to get to this point to say, I don't need to learn one more thing. Let's just put this together. Because a lot of healers, they know so many modalities, right? They're like, I need another certificate. I got to learn that. And done with that. Now it's okay. Let's bring this information out to the world in a much bigger way. So,
yeah, you know it, right? You know it. You're clear about it. You're clear about how it works, what the benefits of it are, what the effects
yeah.
can be. Yeah, enough is enough. Go for it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So that's very exciting.
Oh my gosh, it's incredibly exciting. It's incredibly exciting. It's people are going to grab that book real fast, including me. So save me a copy, okay? Don't you sell them all without me getting one. Yeah, we need alternatives. You know, really, when you think about it, that's like the men's book. It's an alternative place for us to go and try other things that work better for us. And I'd be the first one to say, if you consider some of the points of transcendence or of finding your voice or of energy healing, and they're not for you, then don't do them. That's
right.
fine. But
but look at all the people who go back and back. Has that doctor helped get rid of your pain? Has that doctor helped you feel better? Not usually. But we go back because we're so used to it. It's so in us, right? It's kind of like that ancestral energy that now this is just what you do. It's just what you do. And I'm really saying here, right now, if you're not feeling up to par, then there's another way, and try it just once. And like you said, the doctor will always be there. That was one of my great clients who has been like my ambassador. She came to a crossroads, and I said, let's just try something else. If it doesn't work, your doctor will be right there to do surgery on you. Give me 3 1-hour sessions. Try it. What are you going to lose? You got nothing to lose. He's always there if this doesn't work. Yeah. And the cool thing was, this worked. She never had the surgery. She's feeling even better than she ever did. So I say try everything once, right? Just once.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you're right. Your doctor will still be there. You can always go back.
Always.
Like those other, the other examples, you can always be quiet again. You really want? You can. I used to say this all the time to clients about how to, when they would feel really shitty, if they were just in a really dark place and they would just say, oh, this happened and that happened and that happened and I just feel so bad. I can't get myself out of the slump. So, my tool for them was always to suggest, okay, so we all have to feel our feelings, right? We do. That's really important. We should never stuff them down or ignore them. But we have to notice the difference between feeling our feelings and wallowing, right? So let yourself come out of it. Have the feelings, then start to shift yourself out. Even if you have to tell yourself, okay, this feel is a little forced, but I'm gonna try it anyway. If you don't like it, if you don't like feeling better, you can always go back to wallowing, right? You can. That's your choice.
Because you will always have those people around who make you feel bad. And you can always call them up and say, hey, you want to go have a drink? Want to go have coffee? And they will take you right there.
Yes. Isn't that true? Yeah. And then we talk about conscious choices about who do we feel good to be with, right?
Yes.
And who do we not feel good being with? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Million places to go.
So, Dianna, 100 episodes.
100 episodes.
What have you learned by doing 100 episodes? Well,
Oh
how
my
has
gosh.
your life changed by doing all of this?
That's my life has changed seriously. First and foremost, because of the relationships that I have made here. That's absolutely a no-brainer. People like yourself, Laura, other people that have just become very, very important in my life and really great guides and provide some leadership, some mentoring, people who look for, the same for me, that. So I love that. That's definitely number one. I think the other learning has been that it's okay just to put your shit out there. It's not, there is no shame in feeling crappy or to be vulnerable at
Mm-hmm.
all. There is no shame in
Yeah.
vulnerability. In fact, the more vulnerable we are, the faster we're going to heal.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that feeling stuff. We're acknowledging that feeling, when we're vulnerable. There it is. There it is. It's right there. And similar to the books, when you were talking about when you wrote your story, what happened, it's the same thing. When you release that story, when you're talking about it, whether whether you're speaking verbally or you're writing, you are expressing it and it's moving through you.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be done with that one statement or that one chapter, but you shift it every time.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not a place to wallow. It's not a place to say, oh my gosh, yeah, that's what happened to me, woe is me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place to understand that arc of how you felt at one point, what that aha moment was, and then what the change was that helped you shift through that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that was the other big one was that. And that I'm really super, the third one I think is that I'm really super, like I it's just ingrained now that is huge healing for all of us.
Yeah.
The writing, the speaking, whatever it is healing. There is no
Yeah.
question. I think, because started this kind of on a wing and a prayer, so to speak. Um, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. And after what it's been, I'm not even sure when we started this. I'm gonna say 7, 8 years, if not more. Um, at that point, it was like, well, this would be fun, and I think this is how I think this will be the benefit. But now I know. Now I'm
Yeah.
absolutely sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In the beginning, we're kind of testing it. It's hard really understanding what the shifts are. And as visionaries, I think we examine everything that happened. What got that shift? How did I end up doing that? How did I receive that? We constantly question and problem solve.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is
We're,
awesome, right?
mm-hmm.
It's so valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's all
Yeah.
from people like you. Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. And I'm so, I hope that more people come and listen and just take that time for
Mm.
themselves. I really do. No matter who the guest is, have a little listen. I've tried to make them a little shorter so that we're not sitting. I mean, not everybody has an hour's drive to work, right?
Right. There still are people who do though. Yeah.
That's true.
But,
That's true. Or those of us who don't have to drive to work, and then then you listen somewhere else outside in the sun or something. Yeah, but yeah, I hope that opens up, not even just for this podcast, for any
yeah.
bit of information that will, just listen and
Mhm.
notice what's it doing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then share out these podcasts because you never know when if you're inspired by some of these podcasts, be be really mindful to share it with somebody and actually share the recording and the link because people will listen And if you got something out of it, then maybe your friends and family could get something out of it.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to do that, or they'll go back and try to find it, but they never find it. Make sure to share the actual link
Yeah.
for some of your most inspiring podcasts.
Absolutely. And subscribing is a
Mm-hmm.
really big one too. I know it can be a little, well, I guess depending where you listen to it, it can be a little bit of a challenge, maybe just for tech people, non-tech people like me. But subscribing is I mean, I work my way through it because I know that I want to know when somebody's podcast or or interview or whatever is up, because I appreciate the context of those particular conversations, and I know I want to hear more of those. So that's really important too. Get the little notification, get the little ding, and the little reminder on your phone that, hey, there's another one. I know for us, we post every other week. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and this is all free. This is on your dime, right? This is on your time. So it's not like you're making money out of it, but that's what listeners and everybody can do for all these people who are doing podcasts have exploded right now. Everybody's doing really cool podcasts. And that's how we can support the people who are actually doing the podcast, actually have an agenda to make the world a better place. So share and tell more people about Dianna Leeder and her podcast. How awesome she is.
Oh, yeah, thank you, yeah, and the same for my guests, right? So, I didn't say this at the beginning, and I usually do, but of course, your contact information, Jacqueline, will be in the show notes of today. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you. I remember asking you this before, and I ask everybody at the end of every podcast, so we might as well just continue it for number 100, right? I can change it after 100. I had to reach that milestone first, right? So tell us one. I'm going to push the envelope a little bit for you, too. Tell us one really funny or ridiculous story about you that you don't normally share. Let's
Funny,
get to
ridiculous.
know you.
Well, I don't know if this is really fun. I love comedians.
Okay.
I love all kinds of comedians, and I just share them everywhere. Some of my favorite are like John Panette. He has passed on, but he's hysterical. I love Sebastian Maniscalco. He's an Italian comedian who is just amazing. And of course, that makes fun of my Italian heritage all the time. But I really just love to laugh. And thank God I don't take myself so seriously anymore, or, get upset when somebody laughs at me, because I'll probably be the first one to laugh and say, well, that was really silly.
Yeah. And that's awesome. So awesome. We have to be able to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life is way too short to take ourselves seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't think of anything specific that I did silly or ridiculous at the moment. But yeah, I just love to laugh at all silly kinds of things. And I will be the first one to make fun of myself right now. So
cool. Yeah, that is fun. Okay, so my challenge though to you is to send me the link to one of those podcasts if they are on a podcast, or share them out. Yeah, I like to laugh too. Yeah, I have to say that I haven't listened in a very, very long time, and it was very maybe not very always helpful to listen to, but George Carlin was always a really, really, really funny guy to me. And I think it was just the swearing. I mean, the swearing it makes me laugh just, and I know it's weird. I've even had a client say, well, she wasn't a client, actually, a woman that followed me when I first started, and she told me I felt so ashamed because she told me that she was ashamed of me as a Canadian, as a fellow Canadian, because I used poor language. So she wrote me a letter and told me that, and I thought, oh shit, I was right out of the gate, right out of the gate, I thought, oh man, like that doesn't feel very good. And I thought, fuck that. That's it. Like, this is that, I appreciate language, and I appreciate language on two fronts. One, because I use it and it feels right to me. Do I know not to say it in front of my grandmother or back then when she was around? Yeah, because I would have suffered that. But it's just another way of being ourselves. And I figure if I am being myself, I'm giving somebody else space to be themselves too.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Bring on the George Carlin. Yeah, I probably still know, what is it, the 7 words you can't say on TV or something. I probably can still recite those, but I won't do that today. Anyway, darling, I should cut you loose. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been so much fun. Happy 100th and congratulations. That's a big deal. So I hope that you promote that yourself. Look at, guys, my show. And who knows, if we promote this episode enough, you might win twice in a row. I didn't tell you that you were going to win anything, did I? Now I have to think about what your prize is. Holy moly. When COVID is all done, we'll meet for dinner. How's that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. I love you, lady. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Love you. This is, and congratulations. I'm so happy for you and your success with this podcast and with everything.
Thank you. I appreciate
Love
that.
it.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will talk real soon. And listeners, remember, and I said this in the beginning, just by being here, you are kicking your own ass, and that's all we need to do, right? That's all we need to do. So thank you, Jackie. Thank you, listeners, and we will see you next time. If you like today's podcast, hit subscribe at the bottom on your way out, and come find me at cravemorelife.com for even more DIY ass kicking.